This is why we're here. I want to help you land your next PM and everything. But for whatever reason, let's say you're not getting the response that we need, we'll sit down, we'll do a full pipeline audit. We will look, what does your resume look like? How do you customize it? Where do you apply? When do you apply? How do you apply? How do you do the outreach? What exactly do you do? And we put on the hat of the discovery. What problem are we actually trying to solve? And then after we know what the problem is, okay, what's our solution? How good is it at actually responding to the problem? So something to keep in mind with many applicants, obviously there's a lot of applicants, a lot of folks with us right now on the call. And in general, look, it's obvious it's a competitive field, but it's a competitive field because it's a very lucrative field. It's very high paid potential, and it opens a lot of doors. So like the further you go, the further you can go. It leads into management a lot of times, general management, and the kind of the final stage of a product manager is actually CEO. Like Sundar, the CEO of Google, or Sundar, he used to be an APM. Like he with my old director in Google, they joined at the same time, and my old director would always complain about the fact that their paths, slightly went different ways, where one of them became CEO. My director, very funny guy, he ended up being a VP at Uber eventually, so he did okay. But the point is that the terminal spot for a PM is the CEO or the CPO or some sort of SVP. Like it's a big executive general management role. So what matters? Look at this. This little line is going to be your 99 out of 100 from the takeaways. With many applicants, your impact is the thing. Like, what did you actually do? Scope, how much of a surface area did you work on? And recognizability. Show me your medals. Where are your top tech medals? Where have you worked? What are the most recognizable companies? Education is not as important, but if it's recognizable, anything recognizable will help us get in front and actually like register for the recruiter. Oh, yes, this is a signal. We'll talk more about this, but recognizability is a big, big deal where if you don't have recognizable company names on your resume, I will recommend that we go multiple steps. We don't straight target to Google from no recognizable companies into Google. It's very hard. Why don't we take a step in between? We know of the right companies to target where you can you can make the jump there, and then from there it's an easier transition into big tech. So think about recognizability. Think about crafting your career in a way where you're being intentional about it. You're working for startup X and startup Y that have no recognizability, possibly no impact, no scope. So I don't know what you're building. Like you have to be honest with what exactly are you building and how is it going to get you help get you to the next step. Uh, so as always, we're trying to make it as easy as possible for anyone, for the recruiter, to say yes to a callback. Someone said, that's me for sure. It's very common. So we see the inverse in PCA because we speak to a lot of PMs, as you can imagine. We see the inverse, we basically see the inverse of the survival bias concept is like if you go on LinkedIn, it's nothing but, post $100 million exit founders. You don't really see a lot of employee number 10 at startup or number 5 with their multi-million-dollar exits. And we, having spoken to thousands of PMs, also don't see a lot of that. So we see the flip side of it, which is why I tend to recommend right now in the next 5 years, let's try to lean into public companies, big tech companies. If we can get there in a couple steps, that's fine because they'll open up more doors and they'll get you paid more. Okay, we got to go. We got to go. So screening process, we're going to talk about this a little bit more. Please remember, recruiters are humans. Yes, they can use automated systems and they have their filters, but at the end of the day, assuming you actually target the problem, then you're going to get into some sort of a batch in front of a recruiter. And a recruiter's sitting down now and they're saying, okay, out of the 1,000 resumes that I got, if you're a big tech like Google or God forbid, OpenAI or like Anthropic nowadays, you just get a ton of resumes. So you have filtered out a few in your batch. And here's your batch. Now you're going through these in like 5 seconds, 7, 10 seconds, and you're just looking for those 3 to 5 things and recognizable brands. Those are the main things that you're prioritizing. Yes, internal resumes, meaning referrals, they can get a little bit more, a few more seconds, but the question is still the same. Do you have those 3 to 5 things? If you don't match here, it's over. Like it just doesn't continue. If you just have recognizable brands, like maybe you'll go into some additional batch for when they need something later, but probably because they know that in order to put you into the interview loop for bigger tech companies, they need to say, hey, hiring manager, do these candidates look good? Or what's more likely, they'll say, hey, hiring manager, candidate X here is good because one, two, three. Candidate Y, good, one, two, three. Can I move them through the interview process? Hiring manager says, yes, of course, because they have to move on. They have a million meetings to get to. Or they actually review your resume and go through the same process. So primarily it's like this. Batch screen, we find the skills. If not, we're out of here. Okay, now if you do get these matching skills and experiences, meaning stuff that they want in those top 3 lists, you may just get a call back immediately. Hey, right away, hey, I want to get a call with you and chat. Perfect. Or they can go and look deeper. And this is the deeper part is, well, we also need you need to drive business outcomes. Guess what? Product managers are not just about the customer, they're about the business. You got to make money, is what I'm saying. You got to have deliver impact for the customers, and you have to be the owner of that impact. It can't just be cross-functional team did this, cross-functional team did that. So you have to demonstrate these additional quality signals. If there are no red flags, then, and we can go over red flags separately, then they can contact you. So we need the hook. Think of it as just like anything else you're scrolling on social media. You need the hook. The hook is the 3 to 5 things, and I'll tell you exactly how to do it. And then ideally some big outcomes. You delivered some stuff. You did some serious good for the customer and the business. Okay, I will take this question as it comes up. So how do we find out externally what problems the hiring manager is trying to solve? Yes, so we'll walk through this. This is basically the discovery hat again. So for the resume stuff, real quick, you just got to be short. I'm talking 1 page. If you have more than 10 years of experience, you can go 2 pages. Short and readable, plenty of hooks at the top. Nobody reads it from like top left, line by line by line. You know exactly how we use the consumer and enterprise products you design. But for some reason, when you're designing a resume, you forget all about how product management works. Nobody's going to look at your thing from top left. They're just going to stare at the resume. If something catches their eye, great. If not, no. Yes, I will have examples of hooks and we'll go through it. Our hooks basically have to say these 3 to 5 elements. They have to be relevant. And then they have to provide impact and outcomes and not have red flags. So that's our North Star. By the way, don't worry about taking notes. We're going super fast. The recording is going to be available so you can go back and watch all this stuff. This is like inside PCA, we have it in a lot more length. We're just getting the condensed version right now. So don't worry, just kind of pay attention and ask questions as you get them, and I'll try to pick up on them. We're going to go through red flags in a little bit. So actually, folks, when you see a question that you like, drop a thumbs up on it so that we can kind of pick the ones that are important. Okay. We can figure out, Nikita, how to get you access to the slides. I know the recording is going to be up. We'll figure out what to do with the slides. So, oh, you don't see the questions? Okay, that's more Q&A, more technical difficulties. Let me see if I can press a button. Anyway, Tristan, maybe you can figure this out. I know Tristan's on with me. So if you can figure out how to actually prioritize the questions and have people vote on them, that would be awesome. Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to keep plowing ahead. The resume. For the love of everything that is good, stop wasting a month on your resume. You want to know the takeaways from the 100 plus offers? We don't waste months on the resume. We don't rewrite it until it's perfect. We don't use oh, this template is ideal. Forget this Alex's template. It's not perfect. It doesn't have this thing. No, this template gets plenty of big offers. Trust me. 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, $900,000, all with this template. And also, it's not the best template. It's just a simple template. And if you go into Google Doc or whatever, you can just make this. You don't have to use my template. My point is, it's got everything you need and nothing you don't. And it's got simple formatting, no nonsense, no image, no fancy columns, just text, right? You want this thing to be readable. This it's so Bhavish, I'm focused on product management, TPM, so technical product managers as well, program managers as well, because there's a lot of overlap. So everywhere where your job and whatever role you've got overlaps with product, you can kind of extrapolate from there. Now here's the meat. Uh, this four line right here, this little piece, what I call the impact, summary, expertise, competencies, specialties, basically everything. This is the thing. This is the hook. I'm going to hook the reader by saying that I've got this many years experience in this field, which is the thing you're looking for, right? And I've delivered success for this other company, which is a recognizable company, and I've driven this much in revenue or in volume or in profit or in cost cutting or in customer service, this many customers. Like I'm trying to sort of show that, hey, talk like I'm the person you want. That's what I'm trying to do here. And the moment I win that a little bit, now what have I done? I've won a few more seconds so that I can show off just two or three bullets that are going to solve the problem. And then we're going to get into how we actually identify what's the problem. But ultimately, you have to take your shot. You have to read the job description together with your favorite AI and then figure out, okay, if I had to just speak to the hiring manager and identify one problem, what would it be? What are they trying to do with this thing? Always remember, the thing about focusing on customers is just something that happened as a side effect of trying to make more money. So don't forget, product managers, no matter what, Shreyas and Lenny and everybody else will have you believe about the craft of product management. At the end of the day, product managers are there to make money for the businesses that they serve. They are a business driver first and foremost, which means you got to understand what does this hiring manager actually want, and you have to be able to read it, and then you got to put it in these bullets. That's it. Like that's the 80%. In fact, I'm gonna skip because we don't even need to talk about anything else. If you understand this, then you got me. If you don't understand this, you knock yourself out. You can be in the job search field many months and many years. This is the takeaway slides. Now the work. Okay, let me see if there's any questions so far. How many bullets are enough? So my TLDR to these type of questions is don't worry about it. If you solve the problem in the top three bullets, nothing else matters. If you solve it. If you don't solve it, it doesn't matter because you're probably not going to get a callback for most roles. Now, some roles, especially today with AI stuff, they're not well defined, but so be it. If you go through the job description, you just can't for the life of you understand what they want. You're going to either have to talk to somebody at that company or make your best educated guess. Hey, you know what? It sounds like you actually need someone to help make sense of the AI situation right now. Perfect, because I've done that here and here, and I want to do that here. Like, let's just be honest. If you can't tell what they're trying to do from the job description, you know it's going to be a hell of an experience for you to actually be on that job. Yes, good point. Direct revenue, always hard thing to show being coming in from other side, 100%. And this is, we're talking with my head of product at PCA because there's a lot of stuff that is not you can't like evaluate directly, but you have to figure out how to indirectly evaluate it so that it demonstrates that at the end of the day, I don't care if you're a platform PM, support PM, whatever, you are helping to craft the business. If ultimately you do all of this assessment, which we're about to do, because this slide is called the work, we're about to do some work. If you determine that you actually don't do anything to move the business, then I'm actually very happy because you've discovered something you didn't know, which is that if you left, nothing would happen to the business, which makes me think that as a proactive PM who wants to build a fulfilling and financially rewarding career, you're going to have to figure out how to be useful. Let's keep going. The work. So this is the most work that you're going to have to do. Probably some of you and most of you have resumes already. You've got your behavioral stories maybe set up for interviews, but I just want to tell you, like, these are the top questions that we usually ask PCA members, but you can go more than that, less than this. The idea is that because today we have AI, it's much easier, but I also don't want you to start with AI. I want you to start with your own thoughts. You open up a new doc or write by hand if you want, And no AI for now. Now you're just writing as if you were telling the story to a friend of yours or a relative. You can also talk. You can do text to speech, right? And you are answering these questions. There's gonna be a lot of questions. We're gonna run through them. But answering this question is going to populate your resume, allow you to then later customize your resume very quickly with AI, then allow you to write outreach, templates, emails, direct messages, and also help you craft your behavioral stories, which is probably 40% of that middle stage of the interview layer. Preparing your behavioral stories and doing work on them requires you to do this work up front. There's no way to skip it. Thanks, Alex. Thanks for stopping by. Yes, if you need to drop off, I totally understand. I know it's the evening. You'll get the recording later and you can follow up later. So let's keep going here. We're flying. Let me take you through some of these questions. Um, Maybe after this, we're gonna do a little mini Q&A break because I want to respond to what you're all asking. So the gathering inputs work. Set aside an hour for this if you can, 40 minutes if you can, but probably no less than 30 minutes, right? And just sit down and just write down what aspect of the work did you enjoy? What did you like doing? The good news with AI is you just speak, right? You just write. You don't need to correct. You don't need to make a lot of sense. You just speak. What projects did you work on? Go in detail, as much detail or as little detail as you want. None of it. I did not enjoy any. Again, a lot of the work, like you're all here right now. How many folks we have? I think more than 200 folks, right? Yeah, 200 folks. So you're here right now because you identified the fact that you actually want to be deliberate about how you're crafting your career. So this is where it starts anyway. And actually, yeah, there's probably 40% of the roles these days that we land are in the AI space or some sort of AI PM, really. So it's definitely a thing, as you can imagine. We can talk about the non-AI stuff. So now that you can start voting on it, please go back, vote on stuff, and we'll answer the top questions. Okay, what projects did you work on? This project, I worked on this project. The point was to do this. I managed to do that. I worked on it for 2 years. Okay, who did you work with? Well, I worked with John and Mindy and Bhavna and whoever else, and the designer and the data scientist, and of course my manager. Who could forget my director, my VP, etc. What are you most proud of? This is like similar to what you enjoyed. What other accomplishments or achievements of any kind do you remember? And here it's going to help to just go back and remember quarterly reviews, performance evaluations, maybe like call outs by colleagues or your manager during all hands, maybe launches, like really anything. And this could be from a customer perspective, but it could also be from like a team perspective. All right, what did you come up with? Did you come up with anything at all? Did you develop any ideas? Again, internal, external, doesn't matter. What projects did you plan in any capacity? Again, whether it's launched or not is a separate question. Now we're getting specific. What products or features did you actually launch? So, what actually launched? Did you maybe check your launch emails? Maybe look at the reviews of what happened as you launched or feedback internally or externally. And then the second question, what product or features did you land? You know the difference between launching and landing? Anyone can launch a feature, but landing, so it actually has customer and business impact, is a separate thing. So landing, maybe you got to scale something. Maybe you were able to do V2s and maybe you were able to continue building it. Obstacles and difficulties. And again, you can be frank here. Just write how it actually is. This is not getting submitted as is. What problems did you solve for? Anybody? Your customers, your coworkers, your manager, your exec team, your company. What did you learn? This could be like anything. If I get it from the personal to the professional, from the small to the large. How did you collaborate with others? This is like leadership or engagement with other teams, cross-functionally, like doing things together with other teams or departments. And then now think back here we're getting to the metrics. Okay, were you able to save costs in some way? How about optimize resources? A lot of us PMs love to introduce new tools, technologies, methodologies, like AI stuff. Were there moments where you had to make tough decisions? Good option. Option A was good, option B was good. I chose this. Why? What were they? How did you actually make those decisions? This is going to be important because we're going to source this information and we're going to populate it with our resume and then our behavioral stories, which is a lot of work. You want to kind of front load this work. Any processes that you might have improved or streamlined or systems? Did you mentor anyone, help anyone, train anyone? How did that impact that person or the team? In what other ways, if any, did you contribute to the culture? Like, hackathons, get-togethers, resume reviews, or rather, not resume interviews, right? Like when I was at Google, I think I was a top interviewer in the ads org. So things like that. How did you ensure user or client satisfaction? Make sure customers are happy. Any other initiatives that we didn't yet talk about outside of like core product work? And did you find any spots or issues or opportunities or investment areas that maybe others had not? And then again, any awards, recognition, positive feedback of any kind. So this is it. That's a lot of questions. Obviously, we just sped through it, but this is the work that you need to do, whether or not you're looking for your next job or you just want a promotion or good performance reviews. This is the stuff that you need to do on a quarterly basis if you can. And if you just do this work, you're going to be incredibly successful in your career just because this gives you the information. And sometimes it tells you, hey, we have nothing to show for this quarter. So something has to change. So you know that. I mean, how many times? I mean, this has happened to me for sure at Google and outside of Google that years would go by and like I shipped some stuff and I did meaningful work, but my career didn't move at all. And also I didn't even know what it meant to move the career at that point. It's such a like a forgotten thing. But yet, of course, I wrote a bunch of reports and did all-nighters and presented and made decisions and launched things. But then I never actually took time to actually do this type of question. And then on top of this, you can add, okay, where am I trying to get to? What's actually important for me? This is if you want to do additional work on top of the resume inputs, the type of questions you might want to ask, what am I optimizing for? Am I trying to learn new skills? Am I trying to optimize for experiences, like working for the type of company that is going through this type of stage in its life? Or am I optimizing for compensation, which a lot of times nowadays, I do tend to optimize for compensation, or rather recommend that our PCA members optimize for compensation because it's such a time to actually take advantage of it. All right, so we've done this work. We're gonna take a break here. I'm gonna go through some of these questions. Can we rank these by, oh yeah, here we go. Most upvotes. All right. Just a second. I definitely don't know how this works.
I'd keep it on most recent.
Okay, let's do most recent. Okay, so let me scroll through some of these. How important is previous company brand? Extremely important. If you don't have any recognizable companies, I would optimize for that in your next jump. I just did a video on YouTube. You can, I think we released it yesterday. I basically went through the top 100 Fortune companies to show you what they mean to recruiters. Spoiler, not a whole lot. So what you want is you want to optimize for those in between companies that do mean something to recruiters. Capital One is an example. Capital One is like a legacy fintech, uh, just a financial organization. I mean, obviously it's very large, but like you wouldn't think that Capital One is better than Bank of America or like Morgan Stanley. Why would it be? But yet it is. Capital One could be a good place to source from. And there's a few other companies like that where if you don't have any recognizable companies, just make your way to these. And if you cannot make your way to those, then try to jump into any recognizable company so that you can start getting a leg up. It's one of the most meaningful things that you can do in order to open up future opportunities. It's recognizable companies. Optimize resumes after multiple layoffs from smaller startups. Yep, a lot of folks that we have in PCA deal with this situation. As you come to us after the startups didn't work out, totally fine. We kind of gave it a shot with the startup space. Normally, so I would basically take the best, go through the same exercise, and then identify a target hit list of like which companies do we want to go. Where we don't want to go is another no-name startup. So I kind of would make the recommendation, and of course, you'd work with your CSM inside PCA to figure it out, but I would make the recommendation that we target 100, 200, 300 companies that have a recognizable name but are reachable. And we avoid startups. We can take a shot at Google's, but it's hard. It's hard to get into truly top tech with no recognizable names. A lot of people from all over the world, but the FANG companies seem to only hire on site for a few locations. Yes, that is true. So simultaneously, it is true that the biggest paying locations are San Francisco, Seattle, New York. A little bit in, you get a little bit less, but you have Denver and Austin as a fourth and fifth runner-up. But the highest paying roles are there, and also the most roles are there, and also, yes, the biggest companies there. So it's a bit of a trifecta. I have a video on this on my YouTube channel where you can check it out, where I analyze the geographical areas. I would recommend, if you're serious about your product career, I'm, I recommend you just move to the Bay Area or Seattle or New York. If you're serious, like if you're trying to go for six, 700,000 and above, I would make your way over there. And if you want to work for top tech, especially. How can one make a jump to product management from project management? Okay, so I'm not going to get too much into it. I will tell you that one of the requirements for joining PCA right now is that you can put product manager on your resume, because you're facing an uphill battle if you don't have product manager on your resume. You're applying for product roles. So to your question, how do you get into product from project or program or anything else, business analyst, whatever? My question to you is, how much of the work that you've been doing is already product? If it's already product and you feel comfortable putting the word product manager in your resume and qualifications, then do it and try to skip this catch 22. Otherwise, you're going to have to join a startup, start your own business, do consulting, or just join a smaller startup and explain to like with the understanding that it's going to be tougher to get your foot in the door. But there's no other way. You have to break the catch 22. You have to have the title product manager in order to get a product management role. Okay, what kind of interview questions did you ask when you were at Google to potential candidates? Yeah, I'll walk through those. I'll give you a few examples. There's something known as like a calibrated question, a well-calibrated question. It's when you've asked it to, let's say, 20 candidates, you have a sense of the answer. We want the answers to be kind of in a bell curve where they offset, like the center of the bell curve is somewhere around like do not hire. And then you have a long tail a little bit into the hire and a little bit into the strong hire. And the majority of folks are do not hire, strong do not hire, leaning do not hire. So I have a few of those questions and I'll ask them. Product design, strategy, behavioral, very, very common. Um, Here's a question of 15. Did you introduce any tools, technologies, or methodologies to your team or org? Yeah, so this is sometimes you introduce entire new elements like an AI, for instance, an AI integration, or maybe a new type of project management or product management, or like backlog management or road mapping or whatever. It's just something that makes your team work a little bit better. All right, a few other questions. Are official professional certifications like Scrum very useful after having 6 years of startup experience? Should I be spending money on these? Uh, as a hiring manager, and we have in PCA, we have a Meta, Disney recruiter, and we work with a lot of other recruiters. Not very useful. Training certifications, like business degrees or specific degrees, and capstone projects, basically not useful because, again, think back. It's not about you. It's about the hiring manager. You're solving their problem. So they're not sitting there thinking, you know what? I'd love for someone to build a self-serve ad platform for us. And if only they had a capstone project that demonstrates that. That's just not a thing that's going to happen. Instead, they're just going to say, I want that. I want the ad tech experience. I want the consumer tech. So, like, it doesn't matter whether you're Scrum certified or not. It just, again, being totally transparent with you, none of that stuff matters. All that matters in order to move forward are recognizability, impact, scope, and relevance, above all, solving the actual problems. Okay, let me scan through a few of those. Is this specific for current role or all roles, or should it be done individually for past roles? So I would think, so for that, the thinking exercise, I would do it if you've worked for a long time in one place, then I would do it separately for that place. Any advice to how to focus for someone who is stuck in a catch-all type of PM function, like someone who did internal tools, automation, compliance, customer service? I actually liked that. I mean, I like the breadth-focused PM because you can become a solution to a lot of problems that the hiring manager has. So when you do this exercise, you're going to find a lot of stuff. And then we're about to do this right now. You're going to be able to leverage that stuff to become a solution to a wide variety of problems. So it's funny. It's largely a mindset issue because we work with a lot of PMs, so we see kind of flip side. Often people say, "Hey, PCA feels too senior for me, or rather too junior for me, because like it's just for early career PMs." And then other people say, "You know what? PCA actually feels too senior. There's a lot of leadership people here and directors. Like I don't think it's for me." But actually, and the same thing here, it's like, hey, you know what? I only have this one specialty. I feel like the market right now is more for generalists. And then the generalists come, like in your situation, they say, you know what? I feel like the market really values specialists. So the answer is both or neither, because it's just whatever the problem dictates. If you want to try to cover as much ground as you can, the 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 flavor of the day and of the year is AI. Like I said, 40% of the role have something to do with AI, either fundamental models or the use case layer or some sort of other like technological integration into an existing company. So AI is a good catch-all that I would recommend that you do, but I'm sure you're all doing that as is. Outside of that, I would say use what you've got. You are where you are. Do this exercise, and then it'll help you figure out what's actually next. So let's keep going. You can keep dropping your questions. We'll get to them in a moment. So for now, I just want to tell you that, like usually, I want to tell you that we use this concept of bullet vault. Uh, it's inside PCA. We have this concept. I'm going to go through the major parts of it, but there's certain aspects to the product management role, and we want to capture as many of the key ones as possible inside our resume. So if you want to do additional work, here's how I would do it with AI. And I am going to give you this prompt. The main thing about the prompt to take away is that we want the bullets to be a particular format. You can use your own format as long as it starts strong with a thing that you did, and then it has some sort of an impact. That's really the big things that I want. Outside of that, we add a little bit of, we can use this structure. You can use the Google preferred structure or your own structure, as long as you have the action verb, you have some impactful thing, some number, some meaningful thing that you did. So my prompt is, I'm creating product management resume using PCA standards. I'm going to give you the raw career history that I just did, that we just generated in the answer to those questions. And I'm going to give you the role titles, companies, and dates where I've worked in the past. I want you to create bullets in this format, and I want you to cover these skills: product design, leadership, strategy, business, project management, technical and analytical, and communication collaboration. So these are like the 6.5 areas where we like to cover our resume. We want things from all of those elements inside your resume. It doesn't have to be comprehensive, but ideally, and this is why we use AI, we want to cover most of these. Then keep most bullets one line. Few can be 2 or 3. No walls of text. Up to 10 bullets per role. Remove descriptor adjectives because, ChatGPT, as like the rest of us, like to throw in some fancy adjectives here and there. Replace with measurable outcomes. Here's my raw career history. Paste the stuff that we did in the exercise earlier. Are you using MAMA as like the new acronym for FANG? What was it? Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, and Apple? MAMA. We use Mang. We switched from Fang to Mang inside PCA. Um, does what work? Does this prompt work? Like the main idea I want you to take away is that I don't want you to look for a perfect solution. Doing this exercise of asking yourself all the stuff and then arranging it in a resume format will work. You will need to do some revision work. But my point is, it doesn't need to be perfect because what we're going to do after is we're going to target your resume to the role. We're not just going to use this resume to apply everywhere. We're going to find those 3 to 5 things that we've been talking about. We're going to map it to the stuff that we've done, and then we're going to rewrite. Pri okay, yeah, that's a good one. Y Combinator, huh? That's not really top tech. So you want to rewrite just your summary. This is the part where I was talking about. You don't need to rewrite the whole resume. You just want the the top left, like this or the center at the top, rearranged to solve the problem that the hiring manager actually has. We want our hooks in there. We talked about hooks earlier on. Brand names, big numbers, unique skills, promotions, and then get rid of the stuff that doesn't align. And then you look at this thing like a recruiter for 5 seconds, and then you figure out whether this actually makes sense. Focus only on the top third of the first page. That's it. Yes, we'll figure out the recording stuff. Trust me, if you're on this webinar, we're going to try to get you the recording. Okay. So then effectively, we will do this, the thing that we talked about. I'm going to give you your AI. I'm going to give you my baseline resume. I'm going to give you the job description. Now extract the top 3 to 5 non-generic things. Get rid of stuff like team player, excellent communicator, ignore standard PM job requirements, responsibilities, right? We need to find this stuff and then rewrite the summary to actually focus on the key things that we need. And we rewrite the top third. I'm skipping through it because ultimately, for every job that you're applying to, I want you to remember that we're not rewriting the whole resume. We're just trying to target on the problems that they actually have. Okay, next, outreach. I know we're flying through this thing. Here we go. Outreach. I don't know how many, 80% of people skip this step. They just apply. Sometimes they apply to like 50 or 100 roles. Then they say, I can't get a call back. Of course, you can't get a call back because your resume is getting buried. Outreach is required. It's not like an optional thing. You must map it with your application. You need to apply quickly when the job goes up, and you need to do outreach. I say do outreach 5 to 10 target jobs daily. Find the job posting very quickly. Find hiring manager, recruiters, and senior product leader. That's your trifecta. You're trying to go for those 3. Get their email. Use the contact out LinkedIn extension if you have to. Use their post. Use their about page. Just find their email. It's pretty trivial at this stage. Then use AI to draft refined messages. But please listen. I'm going to tell you the format to actually use to reach out. Don't reach out with your 1 page long cover letters. And hey, I am so pleased to apply to this fine role. I have followed your company. None of that nonsense. We always focus on the actual problems again. Remember those 3 to 5 things? Those are the things that we focus on. 1 intro line, 3 bullets, 1 CTA, follow up 2 day, 3 day, 5 days. You should be busy. It's a full-time job applying for a role if you're trying to reach peak, if you're trying to reach peak compensation and peak opportunity. All right, keep going. So what does this mean? Again, hey, AI, I'm going to give you my resume job description. We're writing 3 outreach messages for hiring manager, recruiter, and potential referrer. It has to be 3 to 5 sentences. 1 sentence on this, 3 bullets from the JD, end with a short CTA, and I will give you those CTAs. And include the subject line under 60 characters. Super important because that's your hook. Again, outreach template. Here's an example. Great fit for your PM role. Highlight impact names. For instance, ex-Google Ads PM. This is me. 0 to 3 billion ARR. Great fit for this role. You think if I send this to a hiring manager who's looking for an ads PM, they're not going to open that email? 100% of the time, they're going to open that email. Of course, I have the Google name. You don't have to use the Google name. You can use whatever you've got. I don't care. Some of you have recognizable names. Good job. Others don't. That's okay. You are where you are. Just keep going on this path, but be deliberate about it. Just know that you have a gap in recognizable companies. Fine. Fix the gap. Okay. Please upvote the questions as you get them so I know what to focus on. Okay, so here's the email. This whole thing is how we write emails. You write emails that are a page long and walls of text. We say, hello, I'm writing about this role. Here's why I'm a great fit. One short one-line thing, second short one-line thing. And then at the end, sometimes we will literally say, I can help in bold. If we can, right? Like if you're actually a good fit, and our guideline is 50% match. If you're a 50% match or more, you should apply. If you're an 80% match, you should do everything you can. Write emails, write DMs, follow up, send shorter and shorter emails, but just referrals, everything you can because you're a good fit. You actually do want to bother the hiring manager because you actually can solve their problem. Most of the people that are bothering them cannot solve their problem, but you can. And I'm obviously you do your own self-assessment, but if you feel you're, because we've had in PCA people that said, Alex, I'm a 95% match for this. And I said, okay, share your screen right now and write this email. And I look at the email that they did and I said, okay, erase all that and just say, I've done this before, I can help. Send. And then a day later, we get a response and a hiring manager connection. Obviously, I have a ton of these stories, but I'm trying to keep it to the practical stuff. Hopefully, if you're here, you trust me about how to actually land your next job. So let's keep going. Tristan, maybe if you want to try to answer some of these. Oh, you have been answering some questions, perhaps. Good job. Thank you. Okay, let's keep going. Referral request template. Can you guess how I'm going to do referrals? Very briefly. Hey, I can have a big impact right here. Could you please forward this to the recruiter or hiring manager at or someone at company Y? Here's why I'm a good fit. One, two, three, same deal. Am I going to say, hey, can we grab some coffee or something like that? No. I'll say, like, I can solve this problem. Could you please forward it to a recruiter? If you ever get away, because you're obviously here with me, maybe you're now getting delirious from listening to me talk for an hour, but like, if you ever find yourself wondering, hey, do I need this certification or like, is this ideal or is that ideal? Just remember that I said, just take action and actually apply and try to solve the problem. Solve the problem. If you can do it, I promise you're going to be successful. So this thing about cold DMs and LinkedIn, they work. My goodness. Yeah, Tristan is already typing. They work very, very well. And in fact, that's the next slide. Thanks for teeing me up. The golden age of networking is upon us. Good news. If you're in tech and a product manager, everyone has a LinkedIn presence. Everyone. Every single person. That means you can reach out to everybody. You can reach out to Bill Gates. Like you can reach out to anyone. But how do we do it? Step one, optimize your profile. Headline above all. That means no more builder, innovative, creative, startup organizer. Like just write the stuff that's going to hook. Recognizable companies, meaningful impact, cash money that you've generated, expertise. Did you work in LLMs before 2022? Perhaps you should say that. Did you deliver $100 million? Why don't you say that? And you say it fast. You say it within the first 30 characters because guess what? We're going to get to this. I want you to send out naked connection requests. What wasn't that? What does that even mean? It means non-personalized. Yeah, no top LinkedIn voice, nothing. You just send out connection requests to people that you think could be useful to you now or later. I'm talking product managers. I'm talking leaders in product. I'm talking recruiters, engineers, if you want to make some engineering friends, which never hurts. Why are we not personalizing them? Because it's LinkedIn and they're tech professionals. If your headline says 100 million in revenue or this background or this company, and then you say, I want to reach out with you, I want to connect with you, they're going to say, yeah, that sounds good. But if you say builder and designer and thinker and like read my blog in your headline, then they're not going to accept your connection request because they don't know what you do and what you're all about. So headline above all, nice picture, nice banner, clean, about page, write stuff that recruiters or people that you want to work with may want to see. Again, focus on the stuff, the impact that you've actually delivered. And if you do this, if you send out 30 a day and you're going to get 10, 15 accepts, which inside PCA, we do see that number, 40, 50% accepts, you're going to get 400 new people in your network per month. And if you do this not when you're job hunting, you could get 4,000 other product managers or people in tech in your 1 degree connection, which means that you know their email and you're connected to everybody they're connected to. So it doesn't take a lot of jumps to get connected to literally everyone in product management and everyone in tech. And why not have that as a goal? You want to reach 700,000, you want to reach $1 million in product management. That's how you're going to do it. You have to be proactive about this stuff. So do this, please. Commenting, current superpower. You can drive a ton more views to your profile and connection requests from commenting than you can from posting, especially if you have not posted in the past. So I post on LinkedIn pretty much every day for like 2 years. And yeah, I get pretty decent reach, but you can pretty much get the same reach that I do just by commenting. I'm just going to say a few things about commenting. Please don't do AI nonsense. You have to actually add to the conversation. If you have nothing to say, it's okay. Skip it, move on to the next thing. Curate your feed, find the things that you understand well, and then share your opinion and perspective, especially if you think you're right. Yeah, the Google brand doesn't hurt, but you know what? I don't have it anymore at the top of the LinkedIn, right? I just say I help people land $700,000 jobs. So like if I was still in product, 100% I would use Google. That's like the number one thing. So the lesson for you is anonymous attendee, try to get into Google or another recognizable company. So DMs, emails all work. And I want you to get used to the fact that it's not just application, it's also outreach. Okay, yes, 700,000, ideally 700,000. All right, we're going to take, oh man, we're definitely not doing well on time. So I'm going to try to fly through some of this behavioral stuff, and then we might have to take a break and come back and do a part two. Behavioral. Why am I focusing on behavioral? Thanks, Himanshu. Thanks for stopping by. Yes, please connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have to drop, feel free to do so. Connect with us on LinkedIn. So I did a YouTube video on like the Fortune 100, but I'm going to do a follow-up on my favorite from a compensation for product managers perspective. So just make sure you subscribe on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, and or join PCA, in which case you will know the freshest information as it comes. Okay. Behavioral interviews. Why am I focusing on behaviorals? Because 40% of the interviews that you're going to face are going to be in some version of behavioral. And you remember behavioral, these are hypothetical or theoretical. Sorry, hypothetical or experiential. So things that you've done or things, how would you do this? Amazon is famous for doing behavioral interviews in all of their rounds, but almost every company, Google, Meta, DoorDash, Uber, Airbnb, they'll all have some part of a behavioral questions. And smaller companies will also have behavioral questions. Well, tell me about something that you launched, or how did you fail, or how do you deal with conflict? So that's why it's a lot of time to prepare for the behavioral stuff. And it will also boost your confidence in recruiter conversations and hiring manager conversations, a lot of other areas. So I want you to take time into behavioral. Right now, we're just going to cover surface, the big stuff that you need to know, big rocks. If you want to know more, obviously follow us. And then if you can use the link to techpca.com/aug25, AUG25, to schedule a call with our team. We have Tristan, our head of enrollment, and a few other PCA folks right here on the call. So if you want to join and schedule a call to speak with us, then please use that link. If you need to drop off, feel free to do that, and then we can send you the video recordings. So for the behavioral stuff, refocus now. Now we've gotten callbacks because we did the resume, we did the application, we did the outreach. We gotten callbacks. Now we need to prepare for our behavioral stuff. We've prepared for some of that with our initial work that we did. Now, how do we actually answer these behavioral questions? What's the deal with these behavioral questions? You've heard STAR, situation, task, action, result. In PCA, we like to go a little bit deeper because maybe we tend to go for higher level product roles, or maybe we've just been doing it a little bit longer, but it's evolved naturally when we tried to think about how do we answer, how do we demonstrate the signals that we need to demonstrate on the interviews, and at the same time hit the values that the companies have, and at the same time show leveling. So that's where we got our kind of revised structure. Here's the revised structure. You can forget STAR, even though try as I have, I couldn't come up with a good acronym for this one. Maybe you can come up with it. It's got 5 stages. The first one is, as always, hook. You got to hook the interviewer. You get a question. Hey, how do you tell me about a time that you failed, or tell me about a time that you had to make a complicated decision, or tell me about a time you were wrong, or something like that. So first, hook. You got to do two things in the hook. Promise you can answer the question, and then make it exciting and interesting. You got to hook them. You got to make it interesting, and you got to promise that you'll answer, because I've been to a ton of interviews. I've run a ton of interviews, and sometimes a person just goes on and on and on, and they never give you the signals that you need, and you feel terrible because you have nothing to respond to your hiring committee. You can't say yes or no because the person was all over the place. So the answer is usually no. So you make it interesting and you promise you'll answer the question. Next, second stage is principles. This is where you actually explain some of your personal thinking behind the issues. It's not just, all right, yeah, let me dive in. No, it's like, here's how I think about failure. Like, I've had a substantial product career. Here's how I think about organizing and leading a team. There's a few core things. One, two, three. Here are my principles. And then when the action, show what I did, show what you did, and show what you did, because we need to know that you did it, and we need to know what you actually did. And then the results, what happened as a result. This is the meat of it. Hey, here's how I'm thinking about this. So here's what I did, and here's what it led to. Here's the impact for the business and the customers, and here's what I learned. Here's my takeaway, and here's how they might have changed my approach. Here's how they circle back to the principles, and here's how they align with the values of this company that I'm trying to get a job at right now, where I'm interviewing. So this is my 5-step approach. Quick example of tell me about a time that you succeeded, or tell me about a time, like, yeah, here's tell me about a time you succeeded. So sure, like, I'm going to tell you about a time that that I was able to launch this big project that required like a ton of cross-functional support, and we nearly destroyed the whole company, but ultimately it was a wild success. Okay. That's pretty, like, I promised to answer the question. It's going to be interesting. How did I destroy the company? Like, let's talk about that. So the principles are, so first of all, success to me is not a straight line. It's sort of like a direction, like a second order. Sometimes you can make mistakes, but it can ultimately lead to success. So for me, success is not just like, hey, I've succeeded in the thing that I wanted. It's more like, is the direction of where the product and the team is heading, generally positive? So I look at slope. Those are my principles. Action. Here's what I did. We were looking to launch this new product. We had an issue where our top customer didn't want to, like, needed a set of specific features. We demonstrated these features for them, but then we almost didn't do it. And then eventually we managed to build this prototype in a very quick time. And then we were able to ship it very quickly, like the fastest in company history. And yes, of course, because of that, there could have been issues. Obviously, I'm skipping through some of the stuff. We want it to be tight and structured, but the idea is ultimately it shipped. There was some potential risk. We mitigated the risk. It launched. There was a great success. It led to a good impact for customers and for the business. And this is the results part. And then the learnings is, okay, so in the future, I actually adjusted my launch. I added additional flags to make sure that we don't launch something that could blow things up. But in a general sense, we tested whether we could ship things quickly, maybe harken back to the values that they're important for them, if execution is important for them, and something like that, right? That was obviously on the fly. You wanna work through these, but the idea is that you use this as a structure. You use the work that you did earlier on to produce kind of like the meat of it, and then you practice it. Don't do it live like I did. You need to actually practice each element and make sure you can deliver it, make sure you've internalized it. So, and Deepak, to the question of, like, I don't want to sound overly rehearsed. So when you're rehearsing this stuff, and we do this inside PCA like a lot, we are not really rehearsing it. We have sort of these bullets, like these 5 or 6 bullets that we want to hit, and then we maybe refresh ourselves on the bullets, but then we tell the story in this path kind of naturally, so that we sort of discover the story together as we go. I actually had a video about how do you, to the question of, do you need a strong hire in all rounds? You pretty much need, you don't need a strong hire, but you need all positive signal. One negative signal significantly decreases the chances of a success in most big tech companies because they are averse to false positives. So they're afraid. They don't want to bring you on if you're good and then but maybe not. So they don't want to take any chances. Okay, the prep process. So start with the written content that we talked about, and then you practice the delivery. So this is, I would say, like first the written stuff, which is what we did there. But then when you deliver it, you can don't worry about the time constraints. Just practice the delivery. You're trying to get the content at step one, and you're trying to nail the delivery in step two. And then in step three, now you add a little bit of the time mechanism on it. And then you say, okay, let me try to do this at 3 minutes per story. Don't try to do all three at the same time. First the content, then delivery, then the time runs. Refine for clarity and brevity as we go, and then make sure that you feel comfortable and confident with your 5 to 7 to maybe 10 or 12 stories if you're going for Amazon or another big company like that. With AI, you can see this later, but effectively, we just use AI to help us align to the values of the company and to match the job description of the thing that the hiring manager actually needs. And we kind of compose it for everything. And you can use it to prepare for a specific interview that's coming up with a specific company and a specific set of values. Thanks for us. Thanks for joining us. Definitely hope to see you in the future. Okay, product design, we're not going to run through because we're completely out of time. But there, oh boy, is there a lot of stuff about product design. Product design, we're going to skip. We're going to come back to it next time. I will kind of quickly go over the signals that interviewers look for. Structured thinking, step one. Like, do you have a plan for what we're going to talk about? And can you be clear in that plan and break down what we're working on and then make progress? User focus, like problems, just like we're talking about in the resume stage and the hiring manager stage. What are the actual problems? And then product sense itself. So the solutions were customer and business oriented. Prioritization and goal setting as a concept. How do you make decisions? How do you decide between one or two or three? You need an approach. You need a way to move forward under time constraints, but you also need to kind of react to what's happening. And then goal setting is in there as well. And then usually there's a communication and creativity bucket that lives for almost all of these type of questions. So there's clear communication, the way that you speak, the frameworks that you use and put together, and whether they're rehearsed, like we mentioned, or whether they're sort of integrated and authentic, whether you develop it together during the interview. Okay, for preparation for all of these interviews, not just product design, pretty much everything. We need to record yourself eventually. First, just start written, then rehearse, speak aloud, then add the time component, but then eventually you want to record yourself and you want to get calibrated interviewer feedback. So a lot of times people get feedback from their friends or other product people or some random coaches. You just want to make sure they're calibrated interviewers, which means they have interviewed at that level or they have been interviewers in those companies at those levels. And you want to identify specific areas for improvement and actually iterate on them. You don't want to just like redo your entire approach. You want to find, okay, I'm bad at segmentation. I'm bad at pain point identification and solutioning. That's the thing that I'm working on today. Another good one is being the interviewer. It's going to unlock a lot of thinking that you have to do to actually hit this rubric. So structured thinking is similar to consulting framework. It's just in general, you present a roadmap at any time. Like when we get started, you structure what we have to do and tell us where we're going to go. And then you adjust that as time and situation develops, right? Because you have to drive the interview as the candidate. And use your rubric. You need to understand the rubric. Don't just randomly try to answer the question in a great way. Think about what are they trying to assess? And every company is a little bit different. Inside PCA, we have, I think, something like 130 preparation guides for different companies because you need to prep a little bit differently. But you can also ask your recruiters, hey, what are we optimizing for? Like, don't say what's the rubric, but basically say, like, how do you make hiring decisions ultimately for product managers? Use your recruiter, right? They're your partner. Okay, yeah, we're here. So I was going to say there's a few practice questions I think we had a question about this. Like Meta, design a parking solution for Apple Maps. That's a super popular one they ask. Google, build an app to help travelers in an airport. LinkedIn, design LinkedIn for blue collar workers. Stripe, and this is not just Stripe, it's a common one. Name three of your favorite products, pick one to improve. DoorDash, they're obsessed with this thing, improving post booking experience of an airline or Ticketmaster or some other consumer facing app or product. So you can, of course, as I was saying, you can reach out to see if we can help you PCA. The TLDR and requirements is primarily work in the US market. You have to have at least 3 years experience. More is better, proactive and ambitious. That usually does the best inside PCA. And then, of course, we can partner with you on your next job and then beyond. Okay. All right. Some best practices. Let me see. Do we have time for this? Um,
Hit it quick.
yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in here. I don't want to do it because I'd rather you do the stuff that we talked about. But let me do this one. Like when in doubt, this is for product sense specific. Like who am I actually building for? Who's that person and what is their problem? Because this thing you can use as a product manager trying to build a career, trying to get your next job. And then you're trying to go for at least like one mock interview per week. You're trying to do self interviews along the way. And inside PCA, like this is a lot that we do to actually progress inside for your interview preparation. So you feel good, and we feel good about your chances to actually get the offer. Okay. All right. The offers. So the offers. The offers, I'm going to say, I told you I'm going to say a little bit about the offers. And that is that the biggest change to the compensation and your ultimate trajectory, I didn't have a screenshot here, but basically you can uh, change how much you make in the next 5 to 10 years by a factor of 1 million or $2 or $3 million just by taking the time and approaching offer negotiation as seriously as I think it should be approached, which is the highest leverage moment for you to increase your personal take home, your compensation. For whether it's startups or big tech, this is the moment. Like, this is the moment when you can meaningfully increase your compensation, but you need to slow down. You need to approach this proactively. You can't just hop in the first time they say about the offer. That's when you start learning about the negotiation. So inside PCA, we have separate like modules that you have to prepare for when you're getting close to the offer. It kind of doesn't matter until it really, really does, because we want multiple offers, ideally 2 or more, roughly at the same time. So you have to manage these interview cycles. Startups tend to be fast. Big tech companies tend to be slow. You have to push back the first and try to do the other one sooner. You have to manage expectations. You have to manage relationships with the recruiters, and then at the end, you have to negotiate. You have to optimize for long-term incentives, and you have to approach it from the perspective of not, hey, I am a person, I'm a PM, I'm trying to apply. All I have is one data point, which is this offer right now. But instead, ideally, either do your research, try to get at the heart of what you're unlocking for the company, the value that you're unlocking, and seeing how much of that you can actually capture as a PM that's coming on board. That's how we think about it. Inside PCA, like once you get to the offer negotiation stage, you and I will actually have a thread going. Like that's the majority, probably half of my day. I respond to these things where we do play by play. Here's what the recruiter said. Here's what the hiring manager said. Here's what the CEO or the CPO said. How do we respond? What do we say? How do we prepare for it? So these are the things that like are happening on my phone pretty much every day. Um, but for now, I would just say that it's like about the mindset. The usual mindset is like the employer comes in, says a number, and like that's what you take. Like, please don't do this. You have to approach it from perspective of like, hey, I'm coming in to build this $100 million thing. You sure? You sure there's no more budget? Like, let's talk about it. How are you thinking about it? Because you want your recruiter to be your partner on this path. It's not that you're just there against the recruiter. And you also want to, here, let me just give you the frame. You want to be gratitude is number one principle. Number two is excitement about the role and relevance and appreciation. And then you want it to be, you want to appear, you want to always be gettable. You want to be in reach. You never want to do this prima donna thing where you know what? Like I could do a lot of, I don't need you. Like I don't need this unless you can do it. No, it's not like that. It's very collaborative. We collaborate with the recruiter, with the hiring manager, with the CPO. We had a situation where we were talking with one of the top tech companies. We had to go up to like VP level to get approval. And then they said they cannot do any more than that. And we figured out a way to do more than the very thing that they were completely limited to do. So thank you all. Thank you all very much. All right, we an hour and 20 minutes. Sorry, and we didn't get to most of the stuff. So here we go. So first of all, thank you for listening and being with us. I know it's late. I just want to say if you are interested in perhaps partnering up with us for your next job search, or maybe down the line, whether you're thinking, for you want to get ahead of things, you want to land your next job right now, or you're thinking next year, come and chat with us. Like I said, this is the TLDR of our like minimum requirements. I am going to take questions in a moment, but I just want to say for folks that need to drop off, feel free to just click there. Make sure that we have your information. Make sure we can follow up and chat. You can also, like I said, always reach out on LinkedIn. Just DM me and just say, hey, it was a great session, or you know what, we could have used this more of this in the session. The problem with this stuff is uh, there's so much to do. It's non-trivial. And that's why we created the Product Career Accelerator in the first place, is because this stuff you need a team. I think of PMs, modern day PMs, like professional athletes. Like if you were playing in the NFL, I would imagine you have a pretty big team. We want to build that for our high level, ambitious, proactive product managers, and we are building that. So sometimes, Fred, just feel free to DM me. We've done some stuff where we help with the offer negotiation if you already have the offer in hand. Sometimes I didn't get a chance to talk about that, like a little bit briefly, but everybody that lands a job inside PCA, we also support them on the job to make sure the first 3 months are a success, that you don't lose the job that you just landed. So, and that you're set up for reputation, establish your reputation, set up to actually track your goals, performance reviews, promo process. All that is inside the PCA program, and you would work directly with me on that. So I think whose question was that? Sorry, I didn't see it. But basically, so we can work on offer negotiation, but I would say I would still recommend that you actually join PCA. We negotiate the offer, but then we start working. Like we start working on the new job. You set yourself up from the right foot from day one. Don't be like me walking into Google and then thinking that like this is the greatest place in the world, and then trying to build a brand new gaming platform and then just hitting a brick wall over and over and over again because Google doesn't touch stuff that can't make $1 billion. Like it just does not touch those things. So you need to know that. Anyway, and yes, so let me get to the special offer that I had. Where's my actual note? So basically, we've never offered this before. There's absolutely no rush to sign up. Like if you were thinking of jumping in, then feel free, chat with our team, explore whether you want to join. No rush at all, whether it's now, this quarter, next quarter, we're going to be around. But for those folks that are ready to make the leap right now, like in the next 3 days, I am going to offer something that we have never done before. So instead of being a kind of a limited engagement program, we want to offer until the end of the month, if you meet the criteria, we want to offer those folks that are joining the accelerator the ability to have support until your offer, which means irrespective of the time frames. Usually, PCA is a 3 month program. We sometimes will extend it. If you have interviews, you need support, we'll do 4 months. And then, of course, we offer some like limited support to pretty much anybody at any stage. But we really want to go all the way, and we're going to do this in a very limited capacity because I don't want to overcommit us. But we will support you all the way to the offer if you sign up in the next 3 days. Don't like again, no pressure. Do what you got to do. We're going to be around for many, many years. I think I flashed that first slide about the company PCA mission and vision. That's literally from our all hands. We have a team of about 25 people inside PCA, customer success managers, great team of coaches. We have, of course, our enrollment folks. We have our support folks, building curriculum. I didn't even talk about the program, but we have, of course, we have the curriculum. We have a circle community. We have a very large, very supportive community of PMs. Like I said, anything from 3 to 5 years experience, all the way to 20 and 30 years experience for our directors or VP or heads of product. So it's everything that you need, and it's always a work in progress because we always reinvest back into the program because we want to support you, frankly, if you're our type of person, for the next 2 decades or however long you plan to be in product. Okay, now let me take questions. Oh man, there's 300 questions. Tristan has been answering these questions like a beast. Thank you, Tristan. I'm going to try to answer some of these questions. All right. Does PCA alumni help in giving referrals to current? Yeah, so PCA alumni, I'm really, really happy. So not only do they help with referrals, but they help build out certain aspects of the PCA experience that are not yet perfect because we're not perfect. So you have PCA alumni that are going back and coaching. Like, for instance, our networking coach. Again, I didn't talk about the program. You can talk with your enrollment advisor. They'll tell you about the program. My TLDR is I put everything in there that you would want as a product manager that is determined to max out the compensation and the fulfillment of your career. So, um, so in terms of referrals, so you'll have our networking coach, for instance, is a PCA alumni, and he goes deep on networking. We have the same thing for like support for our people managers. It's a separate track inside PCA for people managers because it's probably 30% of our folks, and there's some nuances you can imagine. So we have alumni there. We have alumni that are building out and helping create like these informal groups. We have mock interviews that we do. And then for referrals, I will just say this. Don't expect that anyone ever, your brother, is going to give you a referral based on just the relationship. It has to be a match because we're in the product space. We're out here to solve problems. That's it, period. So, yes, we will 100% support you. And I myself, if you send me an email, if you're inside PCA, and say, Alex, because I'm connected pretty broadly in PM, you say, how about this person? Can you send an email? Yes, I can if I know that you're a good fit. So yesterday, for instance, we had a Meta L6 PM who's in team matching reach out and say, hey, Alex, can you please forward this to this person in Waymo for referral? And of course, I did that. Okay, what if there's a gap between your official company title versus the actual job duties? I'm working on senior PM tasks, but my title doesn't have senior on it. Yeah. So I would always treat like the official title and your the work that you did a little bit differently. Sometimes we actually put like product manager, comma, your official title. So we have to be creative about it. I never want you to misrepresent yourself. But because titles, seniorities, level, like years of experience requirements, those are all made up, 100% made up. Every staff PM and group PM and senior PM name, don't argue about that on the internet because they're all made up. 100% of them are made up. No one knows the difference in senior and staff and principal and group. Only for a particular company, they've built out their nomenclature, their way of thinking. So they're calling it that. I don't want you to over pivot on this stuff. You just try to answer the fundamental questions. Can I solve this problem? And then can I frame my experience in a way that shows that I can solve this problem? Can we get these slides? Amazing guide. Thank you very much, Amanda. Actually, if you liked the presentation and slides, could you let me know in chat? And if you didn't like, maybe you could just let me know in the DM so we keep the comments very positive in here, a positive vibe. And also because I'm a little exhausted and I talk all the time. Okay, good. All right, awesome, awesome. Oh, thank you. That's great. Honestly, this is helpful because first of all, we work a lot on this stuff. Obviously, we're pretty passionate about this. This is like our our bread and butter. But I tried to take the learnings from the offers that we received and try to take the common denominator because there's a lot of fluff, again, as ChatGPT likes to say, out there. And I just want to always reframe you to what's the actual problem. And often you'll find, you know what, the problem is I don't have the necessary experience. I don't have the recognizable companies. Well, great. Now you've identified the problem. You know the true problem. Now we can get actually into it. Yes, yes, yes. So I'm happy. Obviously just reach out on LinkedIn if you're looking to get started or if you have additional questions, just reach out on LinkedIn and we'll figure out how to get connected and everything. Oh, red flag of long-term unemployment after being let go. Um, so long-term to me is like more than a year. If it's more than a year, then I recommend to pick up some additional work, consulting if you can. Build something of your own. And I'm not saying we put something on the resume just so it looks nice. Like functionally, that's what we're doing. But I want you to authentically do it. Go write some startups. You know, startups, they're out there working 80-hour weeks, five kids, basically, like post-college Y Combinator people in like one or two bedrooms. They need your help. If you reach out, they need your help. So there's ways to fill the time, but of course, the majority of your time, I want you to be proactively focused on what's actually next for you, what's the actual gap, and then making progress within it. And that's exactly what we do in PCA. So primarily, like PCA is like one thing. It's like you join the accelerator, and then we cover you primarily into your next role, but of course on the job as well, and for perf and for promo. But really, I want you to think about it that like we had an essentials program that we very limited, very limited time, and we're pausing it in order to perfect it. Basically, we want to be accessible to everybody, but the reality is that we basically put everything back into the program. So we do charge, we require a big time investment and a significant financial investment. We want to deliver a big ROI, obviously no guarantee, but our certainly in the past we have delivered tremendous ROI. But over time, we want to try to become more accessible to folks. But for now, it requires such a high touch. So many coaches. You'll see. You'll have a dedicated CSM, success coach. You'll have access to all of our coaches, head coaches, me, the office hours, the workshops, the networking, imposter syndrome, specific case studies. The short story is whatever gap or obstacle you have on the way that anything that we discussed or we didn't discuss, we either have it or if we don't have it, we will build it and do it. So far, because of the extensiveness of how much we've done this, we pretty much have seen it all. You know, there's like edge cases, but the point is, if there ever is an edge case, perfect. Let's figure it out together. And this is hopefully like you understand the spirit of the thing we're trying to do here. How to avoid the dilemma of my current employer knowing about my job hunt? Yes. So no, don't put looking for work. You can refresh your LinkedIn page, but you can again do the things that I said, which is just the headline, a little bit about the about page, and then that's it. And then the rest, you're just commenting, right? You're just commenting. You're commenting your opinion on stuff. No big deal, but you driving impressions, you're driving people to your page. Recruiters can reach out, and then you can evaluate the offers that the recruiters reach out, and then you can build your own outbound. So your employer will not know, basically, if you're reaching out, and then if you're not writing there, hey, sometimes we drop these things in the LinkedIn. We're like, hey, put the word resume or something like that. So don't do that. That's a good way to be spotted by your employer. Other than that, just you can keep applying, and everything will be fine. Okay, let me look for some thumbs up stuff here. Wow, Tristan's answered 41 questions. Folks, Tristan is the man. Thanks for being with me. Tristan is our head of enrollment. He's the one who sends me screenshots after the fact about like, hey, I told you we're going to be successful, and then I send him back my screenshots when we do hit those offers for the folks that enroll. So you'll get to meet him if you once you get started with us. So there's a question about enrollment to offer rate in 2025. So we've done. Uh, how did we do this? So if you join before April, because the latest poll that we did was for that cutoff, I think it was pre-April, 60% or a little bit over 60% have landed a job and 40% are still in progress. I think those are the numbers. Tristan, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. So for anybody asking, like transparently, there's a lot of people still in the program and there's a lot of people that pause the program. So not everybody has 4 months of runway to just bang everything out. Life gets in the way, etc. But on the last audit, 7 out of 10 people that completed the milestones of the program that are laid out within 120 days um, received an offer. And I think it was within around, don't quote me on this verbatim, but it's around a median time of 4.5 months. So we advertise the program as 90 days. Typically, we give people an extra month. And transparently, we haven't really removed anybody. We just continue to support them. We probably won't be able to do that forever, but yeah, we're really trying to be transparent about the numbers. If you show up and do the work, everything that we lay out for you does work. And we recently crossed 120 um, offers accepted, and there's probably 300 people. There's probably 275 people that joined in that audit period. So we're happy to be. It's about 7 out of 10 that actually stay and complete the whole milestones.
And also, like internally, some of the things we're trying to track is not just offers, but also like the interviews that are happening and where everybody is. And it's very also non-trivial to track all the stuff. We're also trying to innovate and trying to do some of the stuff for the folks in PCA, putting together resumes, the building a company list, and trying to solve the painful things along the way. So yeah, better data reporting is something we're investing in now, so we can actually see like the full interviews, the specific interviews. We don't have full coverage and full visibility until all the offers and all interviews. But I'm gonna share if you can. A few days ago, maybe like 3, 4, 5 days ago on YouTube, I did a video where I just took some of the screenshots on some of the client wins and just talked about them. And I think that one's going to be helpful for you to understand roughly like what happens inside PCA. Honestly, we've kind of been stuck in execution a little bit, and Tristan always berates me about the fact that we don't take like the wins of the screenshots and the offers and then just post them everywhere online. And partially it's because we want to be sensitive to our clients, right? When they land this job, like you landed this job at DoorDash with this amount. Like, I'm not going to reveal certain information because I've been a trust and safety PM at Google. So like we can't reveal things that can help people figure out exactly who you are. So it gets tricky, but please listen to that video if you want to know how we've been successful. Um, and we'll try to do even more of that in the future. So if you don't join us now, hopefully you'll see even more wins in the future.
Yeah, and if I can just tack onto that. So like someone asked about how is it different than what we're currently doing, which is basically helping people past 4 months. We we are going to agree to support you until you land an offer. So it's an actual conditional support guarantee. And so I would say it's milestone based. Like you have to show up and put in the work. Obviously, if you just pay us and then do nothing, then nothing happens. And so I want to make it clear, like we can't make any guarantees because it's against the law. And if someone does make you a guarantee, then that's, of a financial return, that's a security and that's illegal. So, but if you do the work, it works. And for the people that we have really had what would you call it? We haven't done a great job of documenting all the successes because people want to remain private. It's kind of tricky. People don't like to advertise that they got help with landing their next role. Compensation is also tricky. Not everybody wants to be public. So, but there's also, if you join PCA and you don't love it, then we'll just give you a refund. And obviously, we don't want to preface the enrollment by saying that, but we don't want to work with anybody who doesn't want to play this long-term game with us. And we're also not trying to be a fly-by-night program. Alex is betting his entire face and brand on this, and I've poured a lot into this company because I believe on where we're headed. So if you are a proactive PM that wants to land a role in top tech, we can most certainly help you. And we don't accept everybody, but if you have you've already done well and you've got some experience, there's a high likelihood that we can get you to where you're trying to go. So feel free to have a chat with us. We don't want to ever make it feel like anybody's pressured to do anything, but we're here for you and our doors are open. And I'd love to answer any questions more in depth with our team or with myself. So I'm always available. Feel free to ping me directly on LinkedIn. We're always here to help.
Thanks, Tristan. That's super. Yeah, Tristan. Yeah, super great guy. I can't wait for you to meet him further. And of course, I'd love to meet you. We do. My favorite part of the week is office hours. So I run about 2 hours worth of office hours every week, and it's basically whatever you want. We usually start out with a few wins from the week, and it always gets interesting about how like you can find micro wins and you kind of, it's a marathon mindset. But then we get into the nitty gritty. We try to solve things, and then this is the part where I was saying we build what's necessary. Like we want to be your partner. So if you come to office hours and you say, Alex, I did everything that you said, every single thing, and I'm still not being successful. What is going on? Then we say, all right, let's go and build a workshop on this. I'll see you next week, or I'll see you in a few days, or we'll have this person that has this specialty, figure out what the gap here is exactly, and then we provide a way forward. The whole point is if you're an edge case, you should be in PCA because we'll help you figure out. Like certainly no one else will be able to figure out because you're an edge case. But if you're not an edge case, then we've already got it figured out. Let me go through some more of these. There's 300 questions. All right, why don't we do this? We're going to do a hard stop in 17 minutes so you can go back to your families and lives. But I'm going to take these questions, all 326 of them, plus the 49 Tristan answered, and we're going to do YouTube videos on them. So if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, I promise you I'm going to answer your question. If you add a question here, so whatever you want to know, because I said, ask me tough questions, do it. So put it in here. Either the ones that Tristan answered or the ones that are still open. I'm going to go through all of them. Okay. All right. So let me go through some of them that I wanted to answer. System design practice. Yes. So system design is less. It is less common nowadays. I used to do system design interviews at Google, so I used to conduct them. And over time, like initially it was like 15% of the accelerator, and over time it shrunk, and now it's very rarely it comes up, but it's infrequent. For AI PM, I can see how it makes sense. Effectively, we will have master classes on system design. Then we will have for every type of skill-based learning, we have a curriculum, and then we have async submissions. So often we will tell you, okay, we meet with you. Here's the masterclass. Here's how you do it. Here's the material. Okay. Now, as you get into it, you're going to find that you have one of the 12 possible gaps on this thing. You might have four of the possible gaps. Great. Guess what? You should work on those gaps. You don't need to work on the other stuff. So we'll give you an assignment. First, you do it in written form. Then you do it in recorded form. Then we do it in a live one-on-one or one-to-two or even in a group environment, depending on the situation. So we work on the gaps. We want to identify, we want to analyze and find, and then we want to systematically address the gaps. And we will do the same for any problems on the way to landing your next job and any problems to getting the promotion, any problems as you get started with a new role and thinking about your next step in your overall career. This is like the people that get it, why PCA is formed, they really get it. And I think there was a question of like, why did I leave Google in here? And I want to answer it because it was actually probably the worst 4 years of my professional career was at Google. I hated it. And I'm a startup person at heart. I ran like small business, online business, offline business. I worked a few jobs, but primarily like I basically, Google was one of the few times that I actually had to be an employee. And because of that, I did not have an easy time. But it's also when I discovered how incredibly lonesome the thing is. Like you're supposed to talk about your career with who? Your spouse who doesn't want to hear it, or your buddies who don't get what does a product manager do exactly? Or who are you supposed to talk about? Your maybe your manager who obviously has their own goals and certainly doesn't want to hear about like uh your like existential dread about working on this team. Like that's not what they want to hear. So who are you supposed to talk about? Who are you supposed to talk to? And that's why PCA is formed, is because I felt incredibly alone. And it was such a weird dichotomy because, or rather like cognitive dissonance, because I was in this place that's supposed to be the peak of a product management career. And I was theoretically supposed to have a great time, but I was having a terrible time. Everything was moving slowly. I didn't understand a bunch of stuff. It took me like a year to figure out how Google actually works so I could do things. So we want to provide that environment for long-term career product managers. And that's a little bit of coverage of that, but happy to get into some of these things a little bit more. Do you work with people switching industries, medical devices to tech? Yes, we have like wins. We have plenty of wins for people who are like, I'm coming in from just health and I'm trying to get out of health tech, or I'm coming from health, I want to stay in health. We had like one example you can see, I think we even had, we're starting to do more recorded testimonials like a long time after they actually get the job so that we put a little bit of distance into it. I think Tristan, you have like 10 of these kind of 7 or 10 conversations, right? Scheduled this week or next week.
Yep, 7.
Okay, so there's going to be more coming, and we're gonna make some of these like available, probably not on YouTube, but with an email to our email list. But there's a person from health tech, from startup into big tech. Absolutely can be done. There's like ways to pivot into those companies, but you also don't have to do that. But also, I know yours was a hypothetical example. We've had consultants that have no big tech experience. We've had startup no, not only big tech experience, but like no experience working as a product manager. But because you're a founder or you're a co-founder or you've ran a business, you are a product manager. And we've had big tech landings for those. Of course, if you have recognizable companies, that's kind of the easiest thing. But we've also had big tech people that are going switching back into startups, finding the right role, finding a leadership role. It really my my big takeaway is that I have not seen a case where you have product experience, and the more the better, but at least 3 years, and you feel comfortable around product management. Like the problems that we've seen are only when we accidentally or purpose or on purpose brought in folks into PCA that just frankly did not have building and product management experience. We're still with them. We're trying to make it work, but like those are the folks that you see that they're unable to make a dent. If you have product management experience, and if you have the role of product manager, and if you've worked in the US, because there's this I don't know if it's a bias, but it's effectively like it's certainly a bias, but it's just a it's supposed to be like a time saver for the recruiters. It's one of those things where, hey, if you worked for Google or Meta, then probably you're pretty good. If you work for US tech or startups, then you have worked for companies that are like ours. That's why, for instance, a lot of folks reach out, and I do a lot of talking to like the Indian product management community, which is very, very healthy and thriving. But it's different because it's actually difficult to make the jump from other geographies. And yes, we've worked with Europe PMs and Australia PMs and Canadian PMs. It's just a little bit tougher. What are your thoughts about the current job market for product right now? We still hear of mass tech layoffs. Have folks had to reduce their compensation just to get a job? For the most part, this is the crazy thing. And you can go and check out that video maybe tomorrow where I talk about client wins. For the most part, in big tech, it's business as usual. They can do a layoff and be hiring at the same time. And I have a separate video on this one where I talk about like what do layoffs actually mean. TLDR, not much. Product, very healthy, very high compensation. There's like two tails of product management. There's the bucket of the product manager that make 150,000, and there's the bucket that make 400, 500, 600,000. And it's hard for me to explain to both worlds that both of them exist at the same time. The question is, where do you want to be? So I don't actually want to invest a whole lot of my time convincing you that it's possible, because that is a poor use of my time and the time of my team. And I say that as a person who has tried to do that with hundreds of people. So you got to do that path yourself. We'll do a separate training on mindset, but like you got to walk that path first. So in short, if you go into LinkedIn and type in product management, you're going to see plenty of roles available. So the market is good. We are still getting many interviews, multiple offers. However, uh, if you're in outside of the main geographies, it can be a little slim. If you're looking for remote only, it can be a little slim. If you're outside of the US, it can be slim. So there's this duality concept. If you're in San Francisco, business as usual. Tons of roles, tons of compensation. and I don't want to mean that it's only San Francisco, but I'm saying like if you wanted to work in an entertainment business, if you wanted to be an actor, make movies or whatever, would you move to Los Angeles? Probably yes. If you want to make $1 million in product in the next 3, 4, 5, 7 years, you should come hang out with us here in the Bay Area. How long should the initial behavioral story response be? Let's target 3 to 4 minutes just to get good at it. Remember, content first, delivery second, time constraint third. My LinkedIn connection acceptance rate is quite low. I work for a non-recognizable but publicly traded company. There might be a lot of people in the same boat. What are your recommendations in crafting a good headline for folks like us? If you have a recognizable publicly traded company, meaning if you ask random 10 people on the street and they know it, that's a recognizable company. A recruiter works the same exact way, which means if you work for like Nike or Coca-Cola, that's great. That should be on your headline. So you use what you've got. If you've got recognizable companies, great. If you've got great impact, revenue, user base, use that. You basically look at everything that you've built so far. Don't be hard on yourself because we don't think proactively like this until you end up on a webinar and like a conversation like this one, which happens maybe never often. Like you just, usually we just go with the flow. So you are where you are, do an inventory, take the most recognizable and the thing that you can show off the most. Maybe you have a good college. Great, put that on there. Maybe you are a founder, put that on there. Maybe some consulting, put that on there. You want the best stuff that you've got in your headline. Preference for the kind of PM experience? No preference. It depends where you want to work. If you want to work for a particular subset of companies, then perhaps you should have a preference. Otherwise, I say we use what you've got. If so, one of the first things that we do inside PCA is when you join, we want to understand what your goals are. So we will chat with you and find out, okay, what do we need to do for the career? Is it like we need a role now, or we need the right role next? Or what's the jump that we have to do now in order to be where we want to be long term? Sometimes you have to do multiple jumps. Okay, so that one I answered. Apart from brand names, are there levels of preferred treatment in terms of domain? Not really. Outside of AI, and AI is this thing where the people that are saying they're AI PMs, 99% of them are not AI PMs. Usually when the big tech companies, like if you want to work for the top 7 AI labs, I strongly recommend that you have some foundational model experience or at least some incredible applied AI experience or an incredible recognizable set of company names and crazy impact in the domain that they want that's outside of the AI, which is also my recommended way of breaking into an AI. If you want to work for Anthropic, a lot of people come to us and say, I want to work for Anthropic, and they literally get more resumes now than Google. So unless you can solve the problems that they have, like you're not going to get into Anthropic. So I'll tell you that don't do that. We need to make our way there. You're not going to come in here and just go into Anthropic. We're your partners, so we're going to tell you exactly what we need to do, not some nonsense. All right. Anything else, Tristan? Any of these you want to flag before I let people go?
I've been back and forth on the Q&A, but long story short, guys, if you have questions that are longer, like we can't answer them in 10 seconds, we're happy to chat. If you talk to somebody and you're not actually ready to join, we will just have a conversation with you and set you up for success in the future. So doors are open. Our enrollment team we're not PMs, but we've talked to 500-600 each at this point. So we know how this works. We're happy to help. And if we don't know the answer, we're just going to ask Alex and then he'll respond.
Exactly.
Alex's DMs are always open as well. And so if there's anything that you guys have, feel free to connect with me directly, connect with Alex on LinkedIn, and of course, book a call with our team. Let them know that you were at the webinar and you had a specific question that you just wanted an answer to. We can totally take some time out of our day to do that. So we're looking to be as helpful as possible and as useful as possible. Also, if you want to, I guess Alex's DMs would be the best place to catch this. But if there's feedback that you guys have for us, this is our first time doing something like this. We don't want to be fluffy and salesy. We want to give value. So if there's something you want to see on the next one, hit us with it. We will spin it up. We'll write content about it. anything that you need from us, we're happy to be of service to you. Whether you join now, later, or never, we want to help. So hit us up. We got answers.
100%. Yes. Plus one, everything Tristan said. I would also say like positive feedback is good as well. This is like it took substantial work for us to put this together. So if you found it valuable, please share on the internet. I mean, just mention on LinkedIn. I will also drop a like over there once I see the mention. Feel free to mention me. And I'd love to hear like if there's anything particularly meaningful. We just like Tristan said, we actually want to understand what the problems are. We have down to like actual physical problems and then mental, psychological ones, and like situational, whatever, on your quest to build a meaningful product career. Anything you found useful, anything you want additional help with, we're here to help. I think with that, there's 300 questions. So it feels like there's more questions the more we answer them. And I love it. Thank you, folks, so much. Like, this is terrific. My creative director, Brian, who couldn't be with us right now because it's 10 o'clock, although it's also 10 o'clock for Tristan. Thanks, Tristan.
Hmm.
So Brian and I will be reviewing all the questions. We will bundle them and we will answer them directly. Like, we want to give you an actual answer.
And for everybody saying that they want some product sense, I see the comments. There's a trend there. So we'll do
Yes.
acing interviews. We can do it. We'll
Yeah.
skip the resume stuff, and if somebody needs that, we'll just send it out. But we'll get heavy into the interview stuff, which is actually most of what people in PCA are working through. Like a lot of,
Yeah.
well, I would say a lot of people come to us and they need help with getting callbacks, but a lot of people will say, "Hey, I've got an interview with Meta in 2 weeks." Well, first of all, we're going to have you push that back. We do know how to help you, and we do know how to expedite your enrollment. So if you have an interview coming up and you're not prepared and you think you're 7 out of 10 based on your own self assessment, please don't try this alone. Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
PCA has a big investment. Yes, we can split it up. Yes, we can work something out. It might not be for everybody, and that's okay. But if you're looking to have a team of professionals that are proactive and partnering with you on your job search and landing your next role, we are the ones to do it. And so, for anybody that ever wants to jump on with us, if you write a post on LinkedIn or wherever, and you share that you got some value from this and write one or two takeaways, and don't put it into ChatGPT and just spit something out. If you actually do a reflection and share it with the world, and you bring that to a call with us, I'll buy you lunch. So lunch is on me if you write a post and then show us that you wrote a post. So um,
That's a lot of lunches.
yeah, don't we'll do Panera bread or whatever's popular in
Yeah.
the Bay. So um cool. That's all I got, guys. Great to see everyone, and feel free to reach out.
All right, folks. Thank you all very much. We'll be doing more of these. If you want more, please ask. Have a great night. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.